Hello everybody and welcome back to Juno New Origins, where last episode we landed on the two moons of Silero, and for right now what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring this over to Silero proper. We will attempt a landing on Silero, but to be clear, I expect this to be an impactor. We'll see how that goes. I'm interested in finding out what the thrust to weight performance looks like. Oh, we're sliding along Niobe's surface, aren't we? We definitely are. We should just get out of here. Yeah. Let's go. So off we go. And we're going to bring this pitch, well, right up to here for now, but really we should be like somewhere around a 10-degree pitch or so. What's our current apoapsis? Yeah, this is plenty good. We should be at a pitch of 0. And we're just going to transfer over to Silero and attempt a landing there, but our thrust to weight is likely going to be too low. I'm interested in seeing what that feels like. We have no parachutes on this, so we're not going to be able to use the thin atmosphere that exists there, but that's okay. Are we already at escape velocity? Yes, we are, aren't we? Yeah, that's fine. I want to keep burning here. We're lowering our Silero periapsis, so this is a good transfer. That seems fine. We'll just continue to burn here, and this is ideal. Where are we in regard to prograde? Okay, sure. That seems fine. So it's going to be real interesting to see what our thrust to weight is like here. Our current thrust to weight, of course, is plenty high, but what is it going to be like over Silero? You can see we're not really accelerating very quickly, so that's definitely something to think about. But we're mostly just out here achievement hunting at this point, so that is fine. And of course, it's a very, 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 very cheap craft, right? How many achievements do we have? We have 50 out of 99, according to Steam. Okay. There's definitely some of these that would be easy to grab, but we're just going to visit everything for now, and we'll see what the achievements feel like at that point. We're going to shut down our engines now. We're starting to have some diminishing returns here. So let's go ahead and warp our way out of the sphere of influence of Niobe here. There we go. And now what I want to do is I want to go to the apoapsis. We're going this way. That's fine. We'll plan a burn at the apoapsis, and we're going to drop this on down. So we're going to be targeting somewhere around like 80 kilometers probably. Something about like that. Okay, so that's going to be a 66-second burn. Let's go ahead and do that. And let's execute it. So there's Silero down there, and we're going to be dropping our overall... So that looks great. Very, very simple to do, of course. We've got lots and lots of Delta V here. But this is looking great. So let's cruise through this burn here. It's going to be a bit lengthy. And we can see that currently our thrust to weight is like 42, but, I mean, we're a long ways from Silero. I do expect our thrust to weight to be negative here. But let's find out. That'll be an interesting thing to determine, for sure. So we're going to build up a lot of orbital velocity as we come in here. And that's absolutely understood. At the periapsis, I want to schedule another burn here, with the idea being that this is going to take us down and circularize this orbit. So something exactly like that. That'll be perfect. About 500 meters per second. Okay, so that's going to be a 3.3 minute burn. Understood. And yeah, you can see here, we built up a whole lot of orbital velocity, which is fully expected. So let's cruise our way through this burn. That'll be about a 3-minute burn here. And what's our thrust to weight looking like here? Yeah, so our thrust to weight is already negative. And that's going to get worse as we enter the atmosphere, as well as we get closer. We're still 80 kilometers away, right? So that is absolutely a concern. That does mean that this is very, very likely to be an impactor. And that's okay. We're fine with that for now. But that means that this is not really capable of landing on planetary masses. So that's understood. We would need probably a different lander to land on the Venus analog. I forget what they call it in this game. It's like CAU or something with a lot of vowels. I don't remember. We'll figure that out eventually. We could actually look, I suppose. Let's see here. That's Vulco. That's the Mercury analog. Handrew's Comet we're interested in visiting at some point. Sergia. Okay, yeah. So that's all fine. We'll visit Handrew's Comet and Vulco and Sergia. We're also interested in going to Atraitus and its moons. But here we are in orbit now. So I want to take a look at where we are in relation to the Terminator. Yeah, I want to bring this around to roughly the apoapsis. And we can just start a burn here. The idea is we're just going to burn retrograde and slow down as much as we can. And I'm not even going to execute this burn. I just want to be locked to retrograde here. Specifically, surface retrograde. And we're going to be going into the planet fairly soon here. We can see our thrust to weight is currently at 1. So we've managed to burn off enough fuel that our thrust to weight, at least up here, is at 1. That's interesting. I wonder how that's going to interact with the atmosphere and the increased gravity at the surface. Nevertheless, I don't necessarily expect that we survive this. Let's cruise on through for the moment. And I'm also interested in maybe stowing our solar panels as we go down into the atmosphere. I forget what the atmospheric height is here, but we're going to be watching the air density here. So hopefully that will that'll change matters a bit. We've got the Delta V to land on this, but I'm not convinced that we have the thrust to weight. We could definitely stow these solar panels now. We are dropping below 80 above ground level. Ground level and sea level are currently identical, noted. I'm keeping an eye on that air density, and the moment we see that tick, we're going to stow these solar panels. But I can't remember what the air altitude is here. Thrust to weight is 1.15 at this moment. So that's absolutely noted. And we are getting rid of a lot of this lateral velocity. I'm actually mostly interested in getting rid of lateral velocity at this time. So let's do this. And we're going to build up some vertical. That's understood. I'm going to change back to this as soon as our vertical gets to like 250, I think. For now, I'm mostly interested in getting rid of lateral velocity. Okay, 250. There we go. Let's move this right on back. Still no air density at 60 kilometers, so that's noted. We're currently at 55 kilometers in altitude. Thrust to weight is 1.24. I don't know if we'll be able to slow down enough to survive this, but in impact, whoa. We hit air density, I guess. That was quite a spin. Well, so much for those solar panels. I guess that's fine. That was interesting. But we got it under control, so that's all good. If we survive this, I will be flummoxed. There's no way, right? We're currently at a 1.43 thrust to weight. This has got to be too low of a thrust to weight to slow us down enough. And we're probably going to be taking some engine overexpansion damage here soon. We're continuing to slow down, but we're not going to get slow enough, right? Surely not. It's completely fine if this is an impactor. We've landed on Silero before. I'm not concerned about that. But this is an interesting experiment, to be sure. And yeah, we're not slowing down enough, so our thrust to weight is definitely not high enough here, and we can start to see shock diamonds forming here. But this is still a fascinating result. We're moving quite slowly. Actually, we're moving really slowly. This might be fine. Hang on, is this just fine? We're taking some overexpansion damage right now. And that's understood. We do need to be continuing to slow down here. How much overexpansion damage are we taking? Not a lot. Okay, so we need to be slowing down very, very slightly. I'm going to 1.1 thrust to weight here. We're moving at 8 meters per second right now. Okay, now we're moving at 4. I'm cutting our engines and throttling us up again. Okay, I want to be about here. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And I cut it off kind of abruptly there, but we're fine. We actually landed on Silero with this. That's a very interesting result. Now, of course, we're not going to take off. This isn't going to go anywhere else, but we landed on 3 separate bodies with this very cheap design. So that's interesting. We do still have like 800 meters per second as well. Okay, let's go ahead and end this flight. There's no recovery locations. We're going to destroy the craft. There's nothing else that we want for that craft. So that's definitely fascinating. If we're going to go to the Venus analog next, though, that's going to be complicated. Because a heat shield is definitely going to be necessary, right? Almost certainly. And parachutes. A heat shield and parachutes would likely be enough to get us landed. So maybe this stage up here? I don't know. I'm thinking about how we'd want to modify this. So that would basically be something like we would put a heat shield with a very small interstage here. It'd be a little bit more mass, but we could do something like that. A heat shield like that, and then an interstage, a very, very small one. So we would look for somebody like this. Way too long of an interstage here. We'd have this be like 0.2 meters, like that. The landing legs would be awkward. They would be. Weird thought here. What if we changed this around a little bit? So that would mean that we would put the heat shield here. I would like to detach these engines. So they would go something like this, and then the heat shield would go here. Interstage here. This would be reattached here, like that. And then we would have these 4 engines like this. Like that. With the idea being, when we go into the Venus analog, we would jettison these engines, because we're not going to get much out of them anyway. We'd burn off all of this fuel, jettison the engines, and then just heat shield and parachute. That'd be the idea. So we would do a pair of drogues here. I would put this at like 45 degrees, and in fact, maybe like 15 degrees. And then make this into quad. Like that. With the idea then being that we could have the inflated radius of these come up. The deflated radius is fine. Do not auto-cut. Max deployment speed of 1 kilometer per second. Okay, so it'd be something kind of like this. So that's going to be a little bit more mass. But that should be okay, Let me save this quick, and I want to take a quick peek at how many moons are there. The question is, do we need to send this design right now? I don't know. So let's hop out of the designer for the moment. If there are 3 moons, then we probably want to send a non-Eve land, or not Eve, but a non... I can't remember the name of the planet again. But a non-that planet name. So let's see what we've got. That I'm sure what I just said doesn't make much sense, but give me a moment. So let's hop out over here. And we would be going in to Sergia, right? Sergia has the 1 moon, Ord. Okay. And it does have an atmosphere as well, apparently. Okay, so the idea here would be we land on Ord, then depart Ord, assuming we have enough fuel to do that. Do we have any indicator of how much gravity this thing has? If it has an atmosphere, it probably has a fair amount of gravity. Well, only one way to find out, really. We just need to launch a flight and see what happens. So let's go ahead and save this flight, and let's launch this thing. So we're going to head out there, and we'll see if we're able to get this done. We can repack the chutes, so if that has an atmosphere, we can use the chutes to help us land, which would be nice. And we'll see what orbital velocities end up looking like. We do have some tech points, and we could definitely spend those. So we could make our way through, like, some of these, just grabbing from, like, the top down. So let's go here. Let's grab trapdoor. Okay. And then that's all we can grab for the moment. But that's looking solid. Okay. Now, let's launch this thing. And, of course, we know that there's going to be some sound issues. Let's launch this from the DSC bay. Okay. As soon as this gets loaded... Okay, we're going to launch it, but we need to mute that audio, because we know that's going to be a problem. Okay. Put this at a 90-degree pitch, and off we go at a very laggy rate. Nice and laggy here, just the way we like it. Well, not really, but it's also cheap. So there's that. Okay, we've cleared the water, so that looks excellent. We're moving at 1 meter per second right now. Hilarious. Our thrust to weight is only 1.1 right now. That's not huge. That's for sure. Well, now we've got some speed building up now that we're clear of the water. So that's looking absolutely fine. Our apoapsis, not so fine, but let's go ahead and pitch this over to 85 degrees. There we go. And we're going to hold there until our apoapsis is about 10 kilometers or so. We want to build up some lateral velocity. We're not going to build up much yet. We're mostly working on vertical velocity, but this is looking fine for the moment. Let's go ahead and rotate the camera on over this way if the slideshow will allow it. Okay, this is more rotation than I was hoping for. Yeah, something about like this. Cool, so that's looking good. We can see our apoapsis is currently chilling at about 400 meters. It's not a whole lot. But that's to be expected. We're going to keep burning here for quite a long time, and we need to build up a lot more surface speed. Let's see about going up into 2x speed. It's going to be interesting for sure. But 2x speed should make this go a lot faster. I mean, in theory, 2x faster, but in practice, I think it's going to be a little more than that. So our apoapsis is looking a lot better. Our thrust to weight has picked up considerably as we have burnt off a fair amount of this solid fuel. Having this low of a thrust to weight is not ideal. And I would like to do something about that. But for now, we're about a quarter of the way to our target apoapsis. And now we're about a third of the way. We're starting to pick up a lot of speed from here. And that's fantastic. Time to apoapsis is, of course, increasing. And we're now at 5 kilometers. We're halfway to our target apoapsis. Looking great. 6 kilometers. 7 kilometers. And that's just going to go faster and faster. That's 8 kilometers. 9 kilometers. And just about to 10. That's 10 kilometers there. Let's bring this right on over to a pitch of 70. Okay. 70-degree pitch right there. So we're holding at 15 for now, and we're going to target about 30 kilometers before we drop this any further. What's our orbital velocity? About 500? Definitely making some progress there. Okay. So we're at about 25 kilometers here. We're going to be heading down to 45 degrees shortly. Right about now, in fact. Let's bring this guy right on down to that 45 marker. This is a little too far. There we go. And let's hope that we are able to keep this under control. It looks pretty okay for now. Still pushing out that time to apoapsis. We're bouncing back up this way right now. That's not ideal. Okay. We've only got about 7 seconds of burn time left in these boosters. So let's just hold attitude here for now. 2, 1. Boosters are gone. Time for kick stage. I'm going to take the kick stage all the way over to here. And of course, now we can turn our sound back up. So let's go ahead and do so. Excellent. And I want to hold at about 25 degrees right now, just because I want to not overshoot this too much. So we're going to hold about here for the moment. And yeah, our apoapsis is going to be pretty high. Let's go ahead and drop this down a little bit more slowly now. So 10 degrees. Looking decent. And now that we're not moving nearly so quickly, let's put this at 0. And when I say moving quickly, I'm talking about our angular velocity here. Okay, so we are overshooting this slightly. I mean, that's not great. I want to keep this heading at 90 degrees. Thank you very much. And let's move this guy up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Just hold it at 0. That'll do for now. So we're just accelerating up with our kick stage. That's looking good for the moment. And we can see that we are at an apoapsis of about 131. We're going to continue to accelerate up laterally here. Our lateral velocity definitely increasing, but we're going to have to kick ourselves a little bit more into orbit. We fully expect that. But overall, this is looking good as far as DV goes. We've not added a ton of mass up here, although I'm realizing that I did not check to see where in the staging these chutes are. That's okay, we can manually actuate them. That's not that big of a deal. Okay, so we've got about 8 seconds of burn time left here. 4, 3, 2, 1, and kick stage is shut down. Okay. Let's get ourselves a little distance here. There we go. We'll shut down that engine now. And let's get ourselves circularized. So a planned burn here looks decent. So this is going to look like something along the lines of this. Beautiful. Go ahead and execute that. That's going to be a 2.5 minute burn. So that's understood, but we are nicely in orbit now. Now, this is an electrically fed engine, so we definitely need to get our solar panels out. There we go. And let's get ourselves accelerated right on up. Now, it is about time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're basically in orbit at this point. The autopilot is going to get us there. So when we come back, this burn will be complete at that point, and we will head off. Hopefully this ends up working, but if we have to do any revisions, that's okay. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Andy McGar, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.